Hello everybody and welcome back to the RORSRPS Season 2 Qualifier. My name is Preston Vieira and we're jumping back into it today with episode 19, looking for our next competitors to add to the Season 2 main field lineup. Remember, you can join in the tour placement voting process for this week's qualifiers by heading over to the RORSRPS Instagram this weekend, Saturday, February 17th. That's at RORSRPS. Drop a follow and keep an eye on my story because every vote counts. And as usual, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed tonight's event and want to keep up with the soon-to-come Season 2, featuring 3 Tours of Chaos and a new larger total of 48 main field trucks. But here on YouTube, you're only getting half the RORSRPS experience. Don't forget to head over to Instagram this weekend so you can be a decision maker and potentially a tiebreaker. We already filled up our Indy Madness tour and soon we'll only have 2 or 3 spots left overall. Get your opinions heard. Follow that RORSRPS Instagram. Also, don't forget to head over to Dubby.gg and check them out. Dubby has a lot of flavors for energy and hydration powders. Everything from mango orange cream in the Calio cream flavor to watermelon lemonade in their watermelonada hydration blend and more. They have some awesome stickers and merch on Dubby.gg as well. So join the Dubby movement, get hydrated, get energized, and support the RORSRPS channel by taking 10% off Dubby's wide range of flavors using code RORSRPS at checkout. Now we are finding our picks for tonight's qualifying event, our first bracket of the night. Of course, if you're new here, there are 2 brackets per show, per episode, I should say. Superman 2007, that werewolf node beam version is coming back once again. That was our reuse wheel list. Now here is our full selection. We are skipping Son of a Digger just because he's already been here. So we don't need him once again. Plain Crazy, already another truck, that has already been qualified. King Sling we're going to be using this time around. Thor is here. We haven't had Thor before. That's interesting. Megalodon 2022. That's a cool pick. Of course, we already have Megalodon Fire on the Indy Madness tour, but I will be allowing a second Megalodon, whether that be Megalodon regular or Neon, either one. If they make it, they made it into Season 2. We are going to shuffle our full lineup here 3 times to get our official lineup, which leads to our round 1 seeds. Let's take a look at those seeds here, as Bad Dog is going to be taking on Megalodon to get us started. Thor is going to face off against Hot Wheels. Verva is going to take on Terminal Velocity. Wolverine, that Blackwell version, he is a werewolf node beam truck, is going to take on Captain America, also a werewolf truck. SpiderMan, Miles Morales, is going to take on Superman. Wolverine, another Wolverine and another werewolf Wolverine is going to take on Identity Theft. Black Widow is back. He's going to be taking on 31 Flavors, and Black Stallion will face off against King Sling tonight. A lot of great competitors in this lineup, and I'm very excited and curious to see who is going to come out on top. We're getting things started with Bad Dog taking on Megalodon, and here we go. Going green for our first race of the night. Neck and neck over that step up there. 2 different approaches. Bad Dog has been here a couple times before. Megalodon, the name, has been here quite a few times. I'm unsure if this Megalodon has been here. Bad Dog getting up on 2 wheels off of an awkward little rebound there on the landing. And that is a rough start to Megalodon's night here. He may be able to come back. If you don't know, this is a very long race, a very complicated race, complex for these drivers. So there are a lot of mistakes to be made. And if Megalodon ends up making some, Bad Dog could come back. The slalom is typically a place where drivers end up making up some ground, and that may have happened here, but it is just too wide of a gap to really make that call at this point. Megalodon in that lead still as we head down the ski hill and onto the bridge. Bad Dog just trying to work his way up. He does seem to be making up a little bit of ground, but then again, this is a straightaway kind of, so I mean, it's easier to make up a little ground in a straightaway than it is for a turn typically. Heading into this transfer into the tunnel, Megalodon did pretty well. Bad Dog not bad himself, trying to keep that truck off the wall, so he's going to have to slow down, which hurts him even more. Megalodon heading into the gap on the bottom floor. It's looking good for Megalodon. A hard hit on the front, though, slows him down. Giving Bad Dog a chance to catch up, but Bad Dog, great save, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make up any ground here, unless Megalodon goes over here in this turn, which I guess we'll see here in a second. No, he doesn't. Around that turn beautifully. Megalodon is on to round 2 tonight. We'll be seeing him again in a little bit. Bad Dog is done. Here in round 1, Bad Dog just now getting across that finish line. Just a rough start, man. A bad rebound off the Jackrabbit ends up putting him out, and that's how it happens. Little things sometimes will catch you out early and completely destroy your pass. Hopefully, Bad Dog can make a return. We are getting down to the end of our qualifying window here. We only got a couple more shows left, a couple more episodes of these two show events. There we go. So let's continue here. Thor on your right, taking on Hot Wheels. Thor is another werewolf truck. We'll see if that thing can stay in one piece here. That is the big challenge for these trucks. Last night, we saw a lot of trucks going down early, just struggling to keep those trucks in one piece. Our first werewolf truck of the night here with Thor. So we'll see if he can get things off to a solid start. Hot Wheels in the lead right now, but we've seen this Hot Wheels truck before in the past in this qualifying window on this track, and he does seem to excel. He made it up into that final round last time we saw him, or no, excuse me, he made it up into the semifinals. The other version of Hot Wheels made it up into the finals. So we'll see if he can make it a little farther tonight and maybe get up into the finals. That'd be nice. Thor coming up short, getting up on a starting elevation, and down he goes with a broken truck. Even if they do let him refire, he's not going to be able to do much with a hurt truck. So no, Thor unable to keep it in one piece. He is going to get another shot to get up onto the bridge and snaps that final forelink on the bottom. Rear drive shaft dislocated, everything broken on that Thor truck in the rear end. It's all Hot Wheels at this point, nearly going over the nose there, getting down in the dip on this bottom floor. Looking for the gap, though. Gets a solid landing. Keeps it off the nose, which is good. Again, I mentioned that he made it up into the semifinals last time we saw him. He's a solid truck. Does well on this track. He's looking to do even better tonight. And as he heads around this final turn, it's off to a great start for him here at the Spin Master Showdown qualifier. He's heading over the triple and to the finish line. Hot Wheels is on to round 2 tonight. Solid pass, and I mean, that's all it takes, man. One mistake from your opponent, and we saw it twice now. Twice in a row, both trucks going out in that red lane. We'll see if that's a common occurrence. We just recently had that lightning lane taking a lot of opponents out. We'll see if that lane switched tonight. Potentially a new good lane here. Lightning lane coming out on top. Verva coming out next on your right, taking on Terminal Velocity. Now, Terminal Velocity doesn't necessarily do well on this track. Every time we've seen him, he's typically gone out in round 1. Verva, a new truck to the track. Of course, it is that extended cab node beam that we're working with here for Verva. So we'll see if he can keep it on all fours. That node typically tends to struggle, but he is up and over that gap, launching way out over it and heading into the first turn. Verva getting into trouble, going down. Verva is done here in the first turn in round 1. Terminal Velocity free and clear to grab a win, but here's the thing, he needs to get across that finish line in order to make it into round 2. Now, we typically haven't had a problem with that. We've never seen a truck also go out when their opponent goes out, so there is a good chance that he will make it across that finish line, but there's always a possibility. They could end up upside down when their opponent isn't, and then they're out, and then we got to rerun the race if both trucks go down because nobody made it across the finish line. There were no winners. So Terminal Velocity heading through the bridge, looking for a good transfer into the tunnel now. Can he get it? First transfer of the night for Terminal Velocity. Looking good for him. Does struggle to keep that truck off the wall a little bit. He gets through it clean. I'm not saying he touched the wall, but he has to really fight that truck and slow it down in order to get enough grip to steer that truck away from the wall and keep it clean. Solid over the gap on the bottom floor, though, as he comes around this elevated turn. Terminal Velocity looks like he's going to do it here in round 1 thanks to a big mistake from Verva. And again, that red lane takes down another opponent tonight. It looks like the bad lanes have switched. It looks like Lightning Lane is the one to be in tonight. And that Slinger lane is just giving these trucks problems. Interesting, for sure. It's crazy because 2 episodes ago, it was the Lightning Lane. Last episode, it was kind of even between the two. We saw a lot of mistakes in both lanes. And tonight, it's all that Slinger lane so far. So we'll see if that continues here with Wolverine versus Captain America. Now, as I mentioned when we were taking a look at the bracket, both of these trucks are Werewolf Node Beam trucks. The only Werewolf Node Beam truck we've seen so far tonight has been Thor, and it's not setting a good precedent for these trucks. So we'll see if anyone can make it to the finish line here tonight. Wolverine, the first one to the step up, it looks like. Captain America trying to gain some ground on Wolverine. Doesn't happen yet, but he does manage to grab a top spot off of the Jackrabbit. Gets a cleaner landing. Then Wolverine, Captain America struggling heading into that first turn, though. Wolverine managing to make up the ground that he lost heading into the gap. Can he hold it right there with him and potentially come out on top as we head into the double roller section? We just got to watch and see. Wolverine is looking like he's going to be the first one out and over the double rollers. Yes. Now, one of the times that we saw Wolverine, he came up a little short on those double rollers and managed to knock off both rear tires. Manages to keep it safe here in round one this time, but that happened later on in the night. So we'll see if he can not do that again later on in the bracket. Oh, Wolverine almost going off the bridge, giving Captain America a chance to reclaim the lead. What a turn of events as we head off the bridge and into the tunnel. Wolverine struggling here, trying to head down into the bottom floor. Captain America not the cleanest either. Wolverine managing to keep it off the wall, which for these werewolf trucks is a bigger struggle. Not necessarily a bigger struggle. Captain America goes down in the gap. What was that? Just came crooked off of that roller, which sent him crooked off of that launch ramp. And down goes Captain America, and he's struggling here around that elevated turn. What I was saying about Wolverine, though, or the werewolf node beam trucks in general, is if you touch that wall, there's a lot of grip on that wall. The friction setting is concrete. So, I mean, you're going to clip it and potentially knock off a wheel, rip out a tire. You know, something's going to happen. No matter what it is, something's going to happen. Bend a forward link, you know, you're going to get tweaked for sure at a minimum. Wolverine managed to keep it off the wall and get across that finish line first. So we'll be seeing our first Wolverine of the night in round two. That'd be awesome if we could get a double Wolverine race at some point tonight. I think they're on the opposite ends of the bracket, but we got to see how things work out. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but could be wrong. Spider-Man Miles Morales coming out next on your right, taking on another werewolf truck, but this time it's Superman. So we've had Wolverine, we've had Thor, now we got Superman. Is Superman going to knock out Spider-Man here in our first round of the night? Launching off that starting line, it is Spider-Man getting to that step up first, and he uses a nice rollover approach to that first step up and to the Jackrabbit as well. Looks like the Spider-Man team is starting to learn some lessons on this track. We've seen the Spider-Man trucks quite a lot on this track, all of them combined, whether it be 2099, regular Spider-Man, or Iron Spider, excuse me. And Miles Morales, of course, as well. So, I mean, they're finally learning their lesson and learning to take that first straightaway with a little bit of caution just to keep that truck under control until the gap. And we'll see if they can tighten up the screws tonight. It looks like they're doing so. Miles Morales getting it done. Superman struggling to get up onto starting elevation. But then again, this is a wild V4 versus a werewolf node beam truck. So, I mean, this is going generally about how I would have assumed it would go. Superman trying to keep it off of that center divide because that is also using that concrete friction setting. That'll rip off a tire. That will snap a four link, you know. Heading into the tunnel, and there it is right there. Clipping the wall, Superman goes down. The werewolf truck's just struggling on this track tonight. Completely loses that front right and snaps the knuckle on that right rear. Just a rough hit there in the tunnel. Knocks him out of the race completely. Spider-Man Miles Morales heading into the final turn. And on to round two tonight. Bit of a sloppy turn. So, I mean, everything else has been solid from him as far as I've seen. There were a couple times when I was looking at Superman. But everything that I've seen from Miles Morales has been smooth tonight, except for that final turn. So, we'll see if he can tighten that up in round two, potentially get up into the semifinals. They're working on their strategies on that Spider-Man team, so that's good to see. Next up, we got our second Wolverine here, the PEI chassis Wolverine. Of course, this is also a werewolf node beam truck. He'll be taking on Identity Theft. Very interesting truck here. Of course, a little spoof of a Gravedigger. That is the whole idea of Identity Theft, if you didn't know. So we are launching off of that starting line here for round one. Identity Theft does lead heading off the step up. Can he keep that lead on the werewolf truck? That Wolverine Does get a little bit of an awkward bounce coming off of the step up, but pretty smooth through the jackrabbit. He's looking to make up some ground in the slalom. Those werewolf trucks do have a lot of grip under those tires, and that shows you right there. He's fighting to get it back on all fours, and he does, narrowly ruining his shot here. He does have a big gap ahead of him to make up, so we'll see if he can even do that in the first place. But identity theft right now, killing it through the slalom and heading up and over that double roller section. Overshoots the double roller, which gets him into trouble. Struggling here, trying to get up. Oh my goodness. And a hard hit on the cab. That is going to put identity theft out. And that we're going to have to check on him. Wolverine, the first and only one up onto the bridge here. And he is looking good now for a win here in round one. Can he get across that finish line in one piece? Launching into the tunnel, looking for a solid transfer. Does get an awkward bounce there, but it helps him keep off the wall if we're being honest here. So that was pretty, maybe it was a strategy. I don't know what to tell you. Heading over that roller and looking for the gap here on the bottom floor. Of course, those werewolf trucks do have to go long to low in that gap. If you end up smacking that front face of the elevated turn, you will, you can snap a tie rod, you can bend a forelink, you can ruin your race completely. If you end up doing that, we've seen one or two trucks do it. You can break a drive shaft and you have no power in the front end. And if your opponent's still with you, that is a death sentence. Heading up and over the 444, Wolverine, he is on to round two. We have two Wolverines in our next round, and both of them are werewolf node beam trucks. We'll see if they can stick it out through the rest of the night. We might be able to get a Wolverine versus Wolverine at some point. That would be interesting for sure. Two different chassis, same truck. 31 Flavors is back here on your left. We just saw him 2 episodes ago, and we have a new version of one of our substitutes from ROR SRPS Season 1, Black Widow. There were 2 trucks on that Sponsor Showdown tour that managed to grab a win and a second show. One of them was Sonic Heroes. The other one was Black Widow. So it'd be interesting to get Black Widow in Season 2 as a main field competitor rather than a sub, and see what he can do, especially with the brand new equipment here. Black Widow looking good, keeping up with 31 Flavors. 31 Flavors, of course, with the experience on Black Widow, but Black Widow, all new equipment, brand new truck, feeling good, looking good out on this track, and keeping right up with him, and grabbing the lead here as we head into the double rollers. Beautiful downside as well for both trucks, though. 31 Flavors, you cannot count him out. He is one of those OG V4 trucks, and they run amazing. Handling is incredible, and they can keep up with just about anything as long as they can not get themselves into trouble and keep it on all fours. Heading down, looking for the transfer into the tunnel now. Now, this could be a decision maker here in this race. Black Widow getting kind of close to that wall. 31 Flavors, I would say keeping more control of it relatively, just because he didn't have to check up so hard on those brakes. But it's still Black Widow holding the lead on 31 Flavors. 31 is going for the gap. Black Widow goes long to low, giving 31 Flavors that opportunity to get right there with him. And they are just about neck and neck as we head out of the chicane and into that final turn. 31 Flavors all over the place, managing to avoid that launch ramp this time around in that semifinal straightaway. But that puts him out heading into that final turn. Black Widow is holding that lead on 31 Flavors and will continue to hold it over the finish line. He is on to round 2, looking for a Season 2 qualification. Can he get it tonight at the Spin Master Showdown? Very interesting. Couple of great trucks. I mean, an insane lineup here in our first bracket of the night. Black Stallion coming out next, taking on King Sling. That's the first time we've seen King Sling. We've seen Black Stallion so far, but not this version of Black Stallion. This is another sub from Season 1. Can he get into that main field for Season 2? Over the step up. Black Stallion taking a bit of a hard hit on the nose there, but it's King Sling who's awkward over the Jackrabbit. Black Stallion reclaims that lead. Around our first turn, both trucks chucking it in, absolutely slipping and sliding through that turn, but it's King Sling making up some ground here in the slalom. Big drifts from both trucks. But but it's Black Stallion still holding that lead just slightly. King Sling maybe with a better downside on the double rollers, but comes up short, getting on a starting elevation. Black Stallion holding that lead. He is killing it here in round 1. Can he hold it the entire race is the question. Getting kind of crooked over the cars, but it doesn't matter. Black Stallion keeping it clean. King Sling looking to come back, man. He really has to go hard here and get a solid transfer in the tunnel. Does just that, getting through it nice and clean, but it's not enough yet. Can he do it in the gap? Will he be able to clear it and make up some ground on Black Stallion? Black Stallion's going for it. Solid landing. King Sling clears it. Look at the strategy from Black Stallion through that elevated turn. Quickly through it. Getting a huge lead on King Sling as we head into this final turn. King Sling not going to do it this time around. Black Stallion with a big slide out wide into that final turn, but it doesn't matter. Black Stallion is heading to the finish line and on to round 2 to close out our first round of the night. An insane race from Black Stallion, just holding that lead since the beginning. I mean, except for a very short period as we headed into the Jackrabbit. Black Stallion cleared him the entire time. With heading into round 2 here, Megalodon is going to take on Hot Wheels. Terminal Velocity will take on Wolverine. SpiderMan Miles Morales is going to take on the other Wolverine. And Black Widow is going to take on Black Stallion to close out round 2. Wild. I'm telling you, this is a quite a lineup here. And it's only going to get harder as we head into our next round and into the finals. I mean, the finals is meant to be the best of the best, right? That's the point. Break down the bracket more and more each round till you get the 2 top racers of the night. And we're going to keep things going here with Megalodon on your right and Hot Wheels airing that thing out over that step up. Both trucks kind of using a little bit of a rollover approach, just grabbing those back tires on that downside on the way down to the first floor. Pretty even race right now as we head into the first turn. Hot Wheels may have an advantage here just with the experience that he's had on this track. Through the slalom though, Megalodon looking good. Looks like he may have a strategy to make up and hold some ground on Hot Wheels. Not too far behind as we head into this double roller section, but overshoots the double roller, which is going to give him problems heading on to starting elevation, and it does. Megalodon furthering that gap between himself and Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels in the lead right now. Onto the bridge and looking for a transfer into the tunnel. Can he get a nice clean one and further his gap? Megalodon really needs to go hard if he wants to come back here. Big leap from Megalodon. Solid landing, not terrible. Hot Wheels getting kicked all over the place. Megalodon big leap as well. That is a tough section to get right, but when you get it right, it feels like heaven. I can tell you that much. Hot Wheels, big slip in that elevated turn, but Megalodon too, and Megalodon is off worse in that elevated turn. Hot Wheels free and clear to take a win with Megalodon. A flat left front. Will it get reinflated before the finish line? I don't know, but either way, he's too far behind for it to make a difference. Hot Wheels heading to the finish line and on to the semifinals. Our first qualifier into the semifinals tonight. Nicely done. We'll see if he can keep this hot streak going. He's knocking out some solid competitors and keeping that ball rolling. And he needs to keep it rolling if he wants to see the final round. We'll see him again in a little while for our semis. But right now, we got Terminal Velocity on your right taking on Wolverine. Now, the thing about Terminal Velocity here in the second round, I believe this is only his second time. If it's not his second time, it's his first time. But I'm pretty sure it's his second time in the second round. So we'll see if he can put on a show tonight and move on to the semifinals. Wolverine, of course, a werewolf node beam truck, one of our only 2 werewolf node beam trucks left in the competition here in our first bracket. Perfect downside from Wolverine on the Jackrabbit. I don't know if Terminal Velocity is going to be able to come back, but on what's working for Terminal Velocity is that he's a V4. So, I mean, if anything could give you some hope as a Terminal Velocity fan right now, it's that he's a V4 taking on a werewolf node beam truck. So here in the slalom, he is going to struggle relatively compared to Wolverine, but he has a whole race ahead of him. Wolverine has the turns ahead of him. You know what I mean? heading into this turn onto starting elevation. Wolverine just holding that lead. Terminal velocity looks like he might be gaining a little bit of ground here. He's crooked heading onto the bridge, but keeping it off that center divide, which is important. But those cars really giving him trouble. So, Wolverine, the first one into the tunnel. Not the cleanest transfer, but gets it done solid. Terminal velocity, another solid one as well. Nice through the rollers there from terminal velocity. Wolverine looking for the gap. He's going to go long to low. Terminal velocity airing it out. Nicely done. Wolverine still a slight lead, but this is a big turn. So, I mean, Wolverine only going to further his gap right there through that turn. Terminal velocity looking for that final turn. Can he make up some ground? I don't know if it's going to happen. Wolverine slipping beautifully around that turn. A perfect drift. And Wolverine is on to our semifinals, knocking out terminal velocity here in round 2. Terminal velocity, a good effort, solid race, not bad, but it didn't work out against a werewolf truck, so there's a good chance if he was up against a V4, he'd still be knocked out here in round 2, which is unfortunate. We may have to put him in as a sub for a second season in a row. I would love to have terminal velocity in season 2 as a main field truck, but he needs to earn it just like everybody else. SpiderMan Miles Morales coming out next on your right, taking on our second Wolverine truck, the PEI chassis. We'll see if that truck can stay in one piece. Of course, his brother is doing excellent in the first half of the bracket. We'll see if the bottom half of the bracket can do the same, especially taking on this SpiderMan truck who did so well in round 1. He's using that strategy again, being smart about the way he takes these jumps. Perfect downside on the Jackrabbit as well. Miles Morales looking good out here tonight in the Spin Master Showdown. And Wolverine is going long to low in that gap, which slows him down. And it's not going to help him here in this first floor. Through the slalom, big slide from Miles Morales, getting hooked on that pit of disqualification. He keeps himself out of it, which is good, and he still leads heading into the double roller section, but that's a big chunk off of his gap that he had on Wolverine at first. Not that Wolverine's doing too hot. I mean, he's struggling back there, but he has a shot to catch up, even more so now since Miles Morales slipped, and there's another slip heading over those cars. Looking for a transfer into the tunnel, though. This is where he could do something solid, and he does. Nicely done. Wolverine, solid, not too bad. I mean, you got a rebound, which is not ideal, but you're 90% of the time you're going to get a rebound unless you get a perfect downside heading into that roller. SpiderMan gets up onto that elevated turn nicely and sliding around it. It looks like it's all Miles Morales right now. Wolverine just too far behind. Is there going to be a slip from Miles in this final turn again, or can he tighten up those screws? He does slip. Giving Wolverine a shot here. Wolverine is all over the place, and down he goes. He hit that back wall, so they did shut him off. He was out of control, upside down, so, I mean, I guess it's a safety concern, so they shut him off. We did see Big Kahuna bounce off the wall and keep going, but he was in a safe position, and it was only a tire that bounced off. Wolverine down, unable to finish his lap. Miles Morales is on to our semifinals tonight. Black Widow coming out next on your right, and he'll be taking on Black Stallion. Very interesting race right here because these are both subs from season 1. Who's going to come out on top? If we're talking about points from last season, it's Black Widow. But I mean, anything can happen here. Black Stallion, again, not this version, but Black Stallion, the name, has experience on this track. The driver has experience on this track. Can he hold it and get a win here in round 2? Around that turn, looks like Black Stallion does have a slight lead, but I could be wrong. It could go either way here, and this is really a solid race to end round 2. I'll tell you that much at the very least. Over the double rollers, Black Widow overshoots it. Black Stallion beautifully done. Black Widow goes for a roll. Little somersault over the nose, and now he needs to play catch up on Black Stallion. Black Stallion in the lead and the first one up onto the bridge. Black Widow just now getting up there, fighting for his spot, and he gets kicked sideways off the cars and goes into that center divide. That hurts him even more. It doesn't look good for Black Widow right now, but anything can happen to Black Stallion here on the bottom floor. There's a lot of opportunities for mistakes. There's a lot of chances that if you decide wrong and you take it, you're ending up on the cars in the fountain, as we saw from Super Mario earlier this qualifying window. But it's looking good for Black Stallion. He's getting it done here on the bottom floor. Great save from Black Widow, but that doesn't save his pass. Black Stallion around that final turn and headed to the finish line. Can Black Stallion get into Season 2 and make that promotion from a sub from Season 1 to a main field competitor in Season 2? Man, unfortunate break for Black Widow. He poured his heart into the season last season. He was only around for our final 2 shows, but I believe that if there was a third one, he probably would have went a little harder to earn a win and get a third show. But he closed out the season with a bang, I'll tell you that much. Hot Wheels coming out next, taking on that Blackwell Wolverine. Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be facing off against Black Stallion. So, I mean, from what we've seen from Spider-Man, the only thing he really needs to work on, from last round specifically, let's say that, the cars on the bridge. But from tonight as a whole, that final turn needs to be tight, especially if he wants to knock out Black Stallion here. Miles Morales could have a lead the entire race, but if he messes up in that final turn, Black Stallion will probably be right in that sweet spot. Hot Wheels taking on Wolverine here, and we are launching over that step up. Wolverine, a huge leap. Not used to seeing that from these werewolf trucks. It is Hot Wheels with a better landing on the downside, but Hot Wheels is another one of those OG V4 nodes. Oh, Wolverine in trouble, clips the dumpster, and it grabs that left rear and totally destroys it. Yeah, it's not, there's no point at this point. You have very little control of that truck when that rear steer goes out, and yeah, looks like he's gonna give it up. Wolverine down here in the semifinals thanks to a broken knuckle. I'm not sure what he broke, to be honest with you. I'm not the most mechanically inclined. That's why I do these videos instead of driving. But yeah, something broke and it ain't good. Hot Wheels heading through the bridge and on to the tunnel. Can he get a nice clean transfer? He's looking for it. Big leap. Bit of a kick in that rear end, so he does get a little squirrely in the tunnel, but that's understandable. That is a rough hit to take on the rear end just because of the way it kicks the truck around, and it can hurt your lap for sure. He's getting a solid one done until now. Falling off of that elevated turn, that is not a good sign heading into the final round. He is going to be there, it looks like, but if he does that, he might lose it. Remember, he's taking on either Miles Morales or Black Stallion, and either one of those trucks could take it from him if that happens again. But there's something that might come into play, a solid final turn. Very important. If he has a solid pass and a beautiful final turn like that, whoever's going against him has their work cut out for him. I can tell you that much. Hot Wheels is on to the final round tonight. Our first competitor out of the semifinals to get a spot in the final round. And he's earned it. I mean, he's been here before, made it up into the semifinals before, like I mentioned, but it just didn't happen for him that time around. It was the other version of Hot Wheels that made it to the finals. And tonight, it's all this one. It's all that custom Hot Wheels. Miles Morales taking on Black Stallion, and we're going green. Closing out your semifinals. This is going to be a race. Miles Morales, beautifully done. I love the control from that Miles Morales truck. Black Stallion gets a nose pick off of that jammer like we saw from Little Tiger last show. And that hurts big time, especially here in the semifinals, especially here taking on Miles Morales. What I was saying about Miles Morales, though, I love seeing the control from that truck because it gives me hope for the Spider-Man name. I mean, a lot of times we've seen these trucks come out here, the Spider-Man trucks, with this node and just absolutely chuck the truck around, overshoot the gaps, everything, and it doesn't work well for them. You know, it hurts them in the long run. Very unusual to see them in the semifinals. And right now, it looks like Miles Morales is heading into the finals, which is also unusual. And it looks good for him at this point. I mean, heading into the tunnel, he is all by himself. And we'll see if he can tighten up that final turn. He's going to need to have a solid final turn in the final round, no matter what his opponent does. He needs a solid final turn. You want to earn your spot. You want to do all the right things in order to earn your spot in Season 2. Coming around that elevated turn, Miles Morales just holding that lead on Black Stallion. Black Stallion, a solid elevated turn, but it's not going to happen for him. Let's check out this final turn from Miles Morales, getting it under control. Cuts in a little too early on the exit, but it was solid. That's all it needs to be, solid. Over the finish line, Miles Morales is on to the final round tonight. He's going to be taking on Hot Wheels. Now, we need to have a look at this bracket because, as I mentioned about three, 4 times now, there's some heavy hitters, some great names on this bracket, and these trucks are the 2 to make it into the final round. Thor, Megalodon, and Wolverine, all names that Hot Wheels took out, while Black Stallion, Wolverine, and Identity Theft, and Superman, all names that Miles Morales has taken out. Incredible lineup of trucks there. A lot of opportunities to lose. And these 2 are the trucks that have come out on top tonight. Hot Wheels on your right, Miles Morales on your left. And we are going green for your final round of racing. Launching off of that starting line and over the step up. These 2 are neck and neck right now. It is Miles Morales with a very slight lead. I'm talking a tire tread, so they are neck and neck heading over the gap. Big slide from Miles Morales in that first turn. Not looking good here on the first floor so far. And a big slide heading into the slalom. It's looking like Hot Wheels is going to get this one done at this point. We'll see who heads into the tunnel first because that can be a decision maker. Whoever blows through that tunnel in first is potentially, a lot of the time, a champion. Or at least a winner of the round that, advances. So we'll see what happens here as they're neck and neck heading onto the bridge. These 2 are close right now. Miles Morales does fall behind just a little bit, but it is still a close race. Miles in that sweet spot. Huge leaps from both trucks. It's Hot Wheels who's smoother, heading onto the bottom floor, but a big slide heading into the rollers. That slows him down. Getting kicked a little all over the place. Miles Morales making up some ground here. And we know Miles Morales and those Spider-Man trucks can clear the gap if they take it right, and he does well here. Just not a perfect landing, but does well. It is neck and neck heading out of the chicane. Miles Morales with a lead into the final turn. Heading into it. Can he hold it together here? He does. Miles Morales is gonna do it. Over the triple and to the finish line. Spider-Man Miles Morales is on to Season 2. He's in the main field lineup. Wow. Now we have only 2 tours left. Indy Madness is full. Spider-Man Miles Morales can get put on either the Biggest and Baddest Tour or the All-Star Challenge Tour featuring Team Thunder versus Team Mayhem all season long. The biggest team battle we've ever seen in Monster Jam is going to be happening right here on ROR SRPS. Spider-Man is just the next one to be added to the list of trucks either on the Biggest and Baddest Tour or the All-Star Challenge Tour, and you get to decide what tour he gets placed on. Head over to the ROR SRPS Instagram this Saturday to place your votes for all of our qualifiers for this week and what tours they get placed on. Spider-Man Miles Morales, the next one to do it. We got one more coming up in just a minute. Let's get one last look at Spider-Man Miles Morales and move on to our round 2. Awesome addition to Season 2, especially, well, I'm not going to say nothing because that might influence your votes here. Wrecking Crew. We haven't seen Wrecking Crew in a long time on this track. Mohawk Warrior. We're going to be doing a different version of that one. Miles Morales, we just qualified him, so we're going to skip him. Boogie Van is coming back. We haven't seen him in a minute either. Party Time, a Namps truck, so we know how that's going to go generally. They don't do too well on the Spin Master Showdown track. Hellhound and Dragon's Breath are going to be here taking each other on potentially. Just get her done. Another one that we've seen before. Of course, this is the reuse wheel, so I shouldn't be saying that. But, oh, looks like I forgot to record the spins. One of those spins landed on Son of a Digger. We already have Son of a Digger in Season 2, so we're going to skip it. And here is your look at the full lineup here for our second bracket of the night. And we're going to shuffle this up 3 times and find our official seeds for our round 1 of racing. Dragon Slayer is going to be taking on Axe to get us started. Nitro Circus is going to take on Hellhound. Mohawk Warrior will face off against Sonic Heroes. Just Get Her Done is going to be taking on another version of Hot Wheels. Dragon's Breath will take on El Toro Loco. Boogie Van will face off against Splattershot, the teammate to Sonic Heroes. Thunder Roris is going to take on North Country Bandit, another Namped truck. And then we got Wrecking Crew, who's going to be facing off against Safe Auto Minimizer to close out round 1. Let's get started. Jump right into it with Dragon Slayer taking on Axe. An exciting race here. 2 awesome trucks. Of course, these are like OG versions of both of the trucks. Dragon Slayer, of course, a really old V4 truck, and Axe, another V4, of course, but early version of Axe, the first version we've ever had of Axe on that Sim Monsters site, and he is in the lead right now as we head into this first turn. Dragon Slayer may be able to make up some ground here as Axe went real wide in the entry of that first turn. Through the slalom, definitely an interesting race here so far. Dragon Slayer seems to be in a good spot. I would say he's in that sweet spot. Axe very not top heavy, but very lot of body roll. That's what I'm looking for. Very loose through these turns. Coming onto the bridge, it is Dragon Slayer with the lead though. Classic Monster Jam truck, or a classic monster truck I should say. Competed in Monster Jam in the early 2000s, but stopped seeing him so much once Monster Jam got serious about, failed. Little bit sloppy there in the tunnel from Axe. Big struggle. Dragon Slayer just expanding that lead. It looks like Dragon Slayer may be on to round 2, but it could be too early to tell with a hit like that. Axe clears the gap here on the bottom floor and may be catching up and potentially in the lead as we head into the final turn. He is. It is close though. Dragon Slayer right on his tail. Anything can happen here in this final turn. Axe gonna lose the rear end just a bit too much. Dragon Slayer coming back by inches here. Is he gonna hold it? Yes. Axe gets another big mistake and Dragon Slayer expands his lead and takes the spot in round 2. Dragon Slayer moving on. Axe out here in round 1. Man, Axe is one of those trucks. Axe was around in our first race, or not first race, our first bracket of this qualifying window. So to see him come back, get another shot is good, but to see him go out kind of sucks, man. I would love to see Axe in Season 2. Hasn't happened yet. We got a few more episodes left, so he could do it. Hellhound here on your left. Nitro Circus. Nitro is on your right, and we are going green, of course. This is the same node that the Neon Nitro Circus is on. So, I mean, anything could happen. He could take a win here in round 1, but historically, these Nitro Circus trucks don't do well on this track. And heading around this first turn, we see it firsthand here. Can he get a save? He does. Nicely done. Managing to get a save. He's still in this race. Anything can happen to Hellhound. So we got a long race ahead of us. Nitro Circus can stick it out, do him, and he might end up on top. Hellhound just holding that lead on him right now. Comes up short in the double roller, but gets a nice, clean, relatively clean landing up onto starting elevation. Beautifully done from Nitro Circus on a starting elevation. Almost going over there. We just saw pretty recently the Neon Nitro Circus do that exact same thing, but he actually rolled over. Was unable to get it back down onto all 4 BKTs around that starting elevation turn. Hellhound getting a beautiful downside. We saw Hellhound last time, and he made it all the way up into the final round, but lost to Max D. So we'll see if he can get up into the finals again, potentially get a spot in Season 2. That Nitro Circus looking for the gap now. Too far behind Hellhound to do anything at this point. Unless there's a big slip from Hellhound, it does not look good for that Nitro Circus truck. Solid around that elevated turn, but it's all Hellhound around the final turn, looking for the triple and the finish line, and he is on to round 2 tonight. And there it is. Hellhound on to the next one. Nitro Circus Nitro. Done here in round 1. Unfortunate race for him. I mean, just an early struggle. And that's what, I mean, I mentioned it before in a past episode, but that's what gets a lot of trucks out. You get an early mistake. You let your opponent get a nice big lead on you, and you just struggle the entire race to make up ground. Look at this, though. Mohawk Warrior and Sonic Heroes. Of course, this is Mohawk Warrior Fire, a main field competitor from last season's Sponsor Showdown Tour. Sonic Heroes, a substitute from last season's Sponsor Showdown Tour. So it's possible these two faced off on that tour. Memory's failing me right now. I don't know exactly if they did or not, but it is possible. This could be a rematch here, and this decides who moves on to the next round. Sonic Heroes looks like he's struggling a little bit. Mohawk Warrior Fire getting through that first gap easily. Nice and clean. Early lead on Sonic Heroes at this point. Can Sonic Heroes come back? All new version of Sonic Heroes taken to this Spin Master Showdown track. Looking to earn himself a spot in that second season. Grave is very adamant about being in season 2. He wants a main field spot. We'll see if he can get it. Gotta earn it like everybody else, though. Mohawk Warrior in the lead right now, but Sonic Heroes makes up the ground heading around that starting elevation turn. I totally missed whatever happened to Mohawk Warrior. But heading into the tunnel, Sonic Heroes in the lead. Ooh, Mohawk Warrior narrowly avoiding that wall there. It is still Sonic Heroes with the lead. Can he hold it for the rest of the race? This is a close one because Mohawk Warrior is right in that sweet spot. Sonic Heroes goes for a ride. Down he goes and up on top of those cars, so they do shut him off. Even if he was able to get back on all fours, he would be shut off and the race would be over. Just a bad bounce on that elevated turn. And Mohawk Warrior is free and clear to head into round 2. He's here competing, so I mean, he wants a spot in season 2 just as bad as everybody else. But like I said to Sonic Heroes, he's gonna have to earn it. He has potentially 3 more races ahead of him that he needs to win in order to come out on top. We'll see if he can do so in just a minute when we head into round 2. But for now, we got Just Get Her Done on your right. And he'll be taking on Sonic Heroes, Hot Wheels on your left with that Willman chassis. We'll see if he can hold it together here in round 1. The thing about the Willmans is they can clear that gap on the bottom floor, and that's a huge advantage to any racer, really. If you come up short just a little bit, your truck's getting kicked around all over the place. Whether you hold momentum or not, you are going to get kicked around. So if you can get a perfect landing on that elevated turn, you're leagues ahead of a lot of other trucks on this track. Just Get Her Done real squirrely right now as Hot Wheels is using an awesome approach here in this slalom, keeping that nose pointed right into the next one. Not so much there in that final turn, but for the rest of it he was. And it is pretty close here. I mean, Just Get Her Done is in that sweet spot. He could end up coming back here if there's a mistake from Hot Wheels, but it's Just Get Her Done who's out wide, having to check up on those brakes in that starting elevation turn. And falling behind, even farther behind Hot Wheels right now. Who's going to head into the tunnel cleaner? Can Hot Wheels hold this lead on Just Get Her Done right now? Or can Just Get Her Done come back? A clip on the roof of that truck is going to put him out. Either way, whether he can or can't come back, he definitely can't now. Hot Wheels is all by himself. Looking for a practice leap up onto that elevated turn, getting it done beautifully, and heading around it, looking for the finish line. Man, a lot of trucks, not so much lately, but in general, this qualifying window have taken a rough hit on the roof of the tunnel. That's the words that I'm looking for. Just Get Her Done, another one to fall victim to it. Hot Wheels over the finish line and on to the next one tonight. We'll see him again in a little bit in round 2. We're going to keep things rolling here and go back up to starting elevation to find our next competitors. Dragon's Breath on your right. We've seen him before. He's really good at clearing that bottom gap as well. Taking on El Toro Loco. We've only seen a couple El Toro Locos, and this one is our first werewolf node beam El Toro Loco. So we'll see if he can survive this first round as we launch off the starting line looking for the step up. Big leap from El Toro Loco, completely clearing that step up. It is El Toro Loco who's smoother, but I think the V4s have different gearing that's just going to help him out as far as top end and acceleration go. But it's El Toro Loco leading into the slalom, which looks good. That is awesome for El Toro Loco. I need an El Toro Loco in Season 2. We had one in Season 1. He was a werewolf node beam, a werewolf node beam truck. So he was struggling all season, but I wouldn't mind a werewolf truck in Season 2 as long as they earn their spot. I just need an El Toro Loco. Dragon's Breath launching up onto the bridge in first at this point. El Toro Loco getting in trouble up on the bridge with that center divide. Not good here on the first floor. Dragon's Breath coming just shy of slamming right into the roof of the tunnel. El Toro Loco getting a solid landing there. Slap wheelie from Dragon's Breath. He's going to go long to low. El Toro Loco has to. And he is El Toro Loco seems to be tweaked after the bridge section. So he is kind of pulling to one way when driving straight. It seems to be all Dragon's Breath here in this final turn. And with a turn like that, it is El Toro Loco clipping that turning car, getting up on two wheels, going down, unable to save it, giving it all he's got. But it's not going to happen. El Toro Loco unable to grab a win and unable to keep that truck unscathed here in the Spin Master Showdown track. Dragon's Breath on to round 2 tonight. Man, another El Toro Loco down in round 1 at that. Boogie Van coming out next on your right. We've seen this version of Boogie Van the least, the 2013 version. We usually see that OG body on that thing. Splattershot on your left. First time we're seeing this truck. Looking awesome. Dazzle Crew on that tailgate. We're going big here in round 1, launching over that step up. Both trucks clearing it. Splattershot getting a smoother landing there. Both trucks kind of getting kicked a little all over the place. But it is Splattershot with smoother landings on both jumps. Boogie Van in trouble. Going down. And there is not going to be a save there. Boogie Van is done. Splattershot free and clear to head into round 2 tonight. Nice practice lap heading into the next round. Debuting truck and the debuting truck on this track as well. So it's a good thing to, get a practice lap in. Lucky to get a practice lap in. A lot of trucks don't. They just get thrown in. And some of them come out with a Season 2 qualification, and some of them leave in tears, with a broken truck. So Splattershot looking good so far. Comes up just shy of a decent transfer in the tunnel, which gets him into trouble. Through the rollers. Bit all over the place in the dip, but it's all right. Looking for a gap here on the bottom floor. Gonna come up just shy of a perfect landing, but not bad recovery at all. Yeah, looking good here on the bottom floor generally. There's a couple nitpicky things I could point out, but I mean, first time on the track, getting to know it. And what a way to do it all by yourself, essentially from the start of the race. Splattershot on to round 2 tonight, getting another shot at an opponent. Hopefully we can keep our opponent on the track this time. See Splattershot again in just a minute. North Country Bandit coming out next on your left, and he'll be taking on Thunder Roarus Neon. See who can come out on top here as we go green for our semifinal race. Nice leap from Thunder Roarus. North Country Bandit getting it done as well, but this is a NAMP truck, so we're struggling a little bit. I don't need to tell you guys what happens when these NAMP trucks come out on the track. Look at the big sky wheelie. This might be just a freestyle performance essentially, because these NAMP trucks can't really compete compared to the V4s. Thunder Roar's Nitro, or Thunder Roar's Neon, excuse me, looking good here around the turn. Up and over that double roller, gonna overshoot it. That's gonna hurt heading onto starting elevation. Comes up short, gets hung up and goes down. Thunder Roar's loses it here in round 1. North Country Bandit, the NAMP truck, free and clear to head into round 2. Wow, what a turn of events. That is not the way you want to see a V4 go down, I'll tell you that much. Not when racing a NAMP truck. Big leap from North Country Bandit, nicely done. Solid transfer into the tunnel. Looking good through the rollers here on the bottom floor as well. North Country Bandit came to play. I see it. Around this elevated turn. A little bit of a slide, but I mean, it's a NAMP truck that it's prone to happen. Nicely done. Keeping that truck on all fours, getting that, that lifted wheel back down to the ground. Not a bad final turn either. You know, if there's a big mistake from a competitor in our second round, you may be able to move on to the semis tonight. We just got to see what happens. North Country Bandit on to round 2. Nice. NAMP truck, getting it done. Just sticking with it. Do you. That strategy works sometimes. I'll just say that. That strategy works sometimes. And closing out round 1, we got Wrecking Crew taking on Safe Auto Minimizer. We've seen Safe Auto a couple times lately. One of those was a werewolf truck. The other one was essentially this version of the truck. And we got Wrecking Crew, who we haven't seen in a long time on this track, but we have seen him here before. We'll see if he can do it again and do it well this time. Nicely done. Through that jackrabbit, it is Safe Auto Minimizer who's in trouble there in that gap on the first floor. He's going to have to make up a lot of ground here, already falling behind in this first round. Wrecking Crew leading through the slalom. Big slide around every turn, but it doesn't hurt him too much. He's out and heading over the double rollers. Don't think I missed that save from Safe Auto Minimizer. Nicely done. Keeping it controlled, not going over in the slalom. Overshoots the double rollers, though, which gets him upset up onto the starting elevation. Another save from Safe Auto. Heading down into the tunnel. Can Wrecking Crew pull off a nice, clean transfer? He does. Solid. Keep it going. Safe Auto in trouble. Bouncing off the side of the tunnel. Safe Auto Minimizer is done. Wrecking Crew, big hit on the front end, but he's all by himself in this race. He is going to head into round 2. If he can just get across that finish line, he'll be taking on North Country Bandit in round 2. See how he takes this final turn. A lot of speed going into it. Beautiful turn. Long slide on the exit, but a beautiful turn in the middle there. Over the finish line he goes, and on to round 2. We'll see Wrecking Crew again in just a little bit. Let's take a look at our round 2 bracket here and see how things are shaping up for our second round of the night. Dragon Slayer is going to be taking on Hellhound, while Mohawk Warrior Fire takes on Hot Wheels. Dragon's Breath is going to face off against Splattershot. And closing out round 2, we got North Country Bandit taking on Wrecking Crew. Very, very interesting second round here. Mohawk Warrior versus Hot Wheels. Gotta be the race to watch. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. Potentially Dragon's Breath versus Splattershot. That could also be a really solid race. Of course, Splattershot got that practice pass last round, so we'll see if that pays off. Dragon Slayer taking on Hellhound. Here to kick off round 2. We're going green. Off of that starting line, these trucks are going big. Hellhound using a rollover approach on that step up, and that just sets him up for a nice clean downside on the jackrabbit. early lead on Dragon Slayer right now. Coming around that first turn, nice and smooth from Hellhound. Dragon Slayer not too bad himself, just too far behind at this point for that to make a difference. But we'll see if he can make up some ground here in the slalom. Once again, he did it last round. Can he do it again? I would say he did. I wouldn't say he's in that sweet spot yet, but he's not too far behind. Big sky wheelie from Dragon Slayer. Grabs those back tires on the ledge and sets it down, managing to recover relatively quickly. I mean, he loses some ground, of course, but recovers quick. Oh, no. Hard hit, clips that front end on the car, which upsets the truck. Hellhound all by himself now in the tunnel. Can he hold this lead on Dragon Slayer until the end? He has a good shot at it. A past finalist on this track, looking for his Season 2 qualification, and he is capable. I can see him doing it. And with a landing like that, I don't know, but I could see him doing it in general as a whole, and he is in that lead, holding that lead on Dragon Slayer right now. Perfect turn from Dragon Slayer around that elevated turn, but I don't think it's going to happen. Hellhound around that final turn beautifully, a little wide, but not too bad. And over the triple he goes and headed to the finish line. Hellhound is on to our semifinals. Dragon Slayer just unable to get it done. Solid pass, nothing really too wrong with it, just a couple mistakes that couldn't get recovered. Dragon Slayer done here in the second round. Hellhound on to the next one. Next up, we got Mohawk Warrior Fire taking on Hot Wheels. Now, this is one of the races that I said could be a defining race for the rest of the night. It's definitely a race to watch, but it could be a defining race here for the rest of the night. Mohawk Warrior and Hot Wheels launching off that starting line and over the step up. Both of them airing it out. Hot Wheels getting a little bit more air than Mohawk Warrior, so Mohawk Warrior grabs a little bit of a lead heading to the Jackrabbit, but Hot Wheels reclaims it over the gap. Quite a race so far. These two are neck and neck, trading that lead back and forth. Who is going to come out of the slaloms in the lead is a solid question, because that can determine our starting elevation leader, and that determines the bridge, which determines the transfer into the tunnel. I mean, the transfer into the tunnel is its own beast completely. So it's going to be interesting for sure. Hot Wheels in the lead right now as we head up onto the bridge. Mohawk Warrior Fire fighting for that spot in Season 2. A recurring competitor here in the RORSRPS season. Hot Wheels getting into trouble with that center divide on the bridge. Can he come back using his gap strategy on the bottom floor? Comes up a little short for that transfer into the tunnel, which is not good. Heading into the bottom floor. Overshoots that final roller. It's looking good for Mohawk Warrior right now. Hot Wheels just comes shy of a perfect landing. Does get a really great one, but just not what he's looking for, especially if he wants to come back. Hot Wheels looks like he's done. Mohawk Warrior Fire, a perfect final turn, and heading over the triple. He is on to our semifinals tonight. Hot Wheels unable to stick with it here in round 2. An unfortunate break for the women, but it happens sometimes, man. Hot Wheels not moving on tonight. It is all Mohawk Warrior Fire in the semifinals. And on to our next race, we got Splattershot coming out on your left, and he'll be taking on Dragon's Breath. Very interesting race here. This is another one that I said was a race to watch. Whether this would be a defining race for the rest of the night, I don't know. But it's going to be a race to watch for sure. Big leaps from both trucks. Dragon's Breath getting kicked onto the nose. Manages to save it without touching the chassis, which is a big move, because if you hit that chassis, you're going to go for a ride. And keeps it safe, keeps it running. And he is behind right now, but Dragon's Breath has an opportunity to catch up with Splattershot going wide in that first turn and clipping the dumpster. They are neck and neck as we head into the slalom. Who is going to lead as we head into the double roller section? Coming out of those out of the slalom, it's all Splattershot at this point. Can Splattershot hold on to it? Very slight lead here, but it's neck and neck onto the bridge. Close race. I like to see it. A hard hit for Dragon's Breath. That slows him down. Splattershot able to widen their gap on Dragon's Breath. Bit of a sloppy landing from Splattershot into the tunnel, but not enough for Dragon's Breath to make up the ground. I'm just watching at this point. This is a very interesting race here. Splattershot getting the exact same landing that we saw from him last time around. Dragon's Breath, a sloppy turn in that elevated turn. Not the cleanest exit from Splattershot. Dragon's Breath has a chance. It is relatively close here. I wouldn't say sweet spot, but Dragon's Breath is close. Around that final turn, it's not going to happen. Splattershot is on to the semifinals tonight, knocking out Dragon's Breath here in round 2. Nicely done. A solid pass from Splattershot. That practice pass definitely helped. We are going to need to see a little bit of improvement heading into the tunnel if they want to make it into the final round. But it is what it is, man. Everything needs a little bit of improvement all the time. So we'll see if they can work on it, if they can get it done. If not, we'll see them again next time. Wrecking Crew coming out next on your left, taking on North Country Bandit. Now, North Country Bandit, Namp's truck, taking on another V4, but we just saw V4 go down big time in off of the starting elevation ledge. So we'll see if that'll happen again, or if Wrecking Crew can stick with it here in our second round. Nicely done. Slap wheelie from North Country Bandit. That's cool. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what you want to see in a race. North Country Bandit, beautiful little long to low there through the gap on the first floor. But it's all Wrecking Crew right now, and Wrecking Crew is getting it done tonight. Looks like he could be in the semifinals, but we just got to watch the rest of this race and see what happens here. North Country Bandit fighting to get back up there, and it's not looking good here on this first floor at least. Wrecking Crew already heading down the ski hill. North Country Bandit, oh, big slide. Oh, what are you doing? North Country Bandit manages to not get hurt. The truck is hurt, but manages to keep it from smacking the roof on the ground. Yeah, there's a reason those, I mean, they're non-collidable, but there's a reason those jersey barriers are there. You don't want to go off the side right there. Took a shot, didn't work. North Country Bandit done. Here in round 2, Wrecking Crew coming around this elevated turn. Little sloppy, a lot sloppy. Yeah, Wrecking Crew all by himself, so I mean he's free to do that if he chooses, which he did. But you don't want to do that next round. Coming around this final turn, Wrecking Crew is on to the semifinals. Can he knock out Splattershot? Splattershot, a debuting truck. Now, I mean, that's 50-50 here. We're 50-50 for debuting for a debuting truck. You know what I mean? It could go either way. We've seen a lot of debuting trucks come out here and move on to the second season, which is great. We got to get some new trucks in here. But I don't know. Wrecking Crew, I'm a little biased here. I would love to see Wrecking Crew in the finals. Semifinals, though, Hellhound is going to be taking on Mohawk Warrior Fire. And finishing out the semis, we got Splattershot taking on Wrecking Crew. Very, very interesting set of races for the semifinals. Let's jump right into our semifinal round here with Hellhound on your right, taking on Mohawk Warrior Fire. Who's going to get into the final round? Let's find out as we go green for our semifinals. Over the step up, Hellhound getting a lot of air, falling behind Mohawk Warrior Fire right now. And an awkward landing on that Jackrabbit isn't going to help. It's a big lead to Mohawk Warrior getting started here. Perfect turn from Mohawk Warrior. Had a whole season of racing practice, so I would hope that it would pay off. Coming around the slaloms. Yeah, Mohawk Warrior Fire getting it done. Hellhound still behind at this point, but a better downside on the double rollers. So it looks like he's making the effort to come back. Will it be enough is the question. Mohawk Warrior Fire, the first one onto the bridge. How are the cars going to treat him? Beautifully. Gets it done nice and easy. Same for Hellhound, though. Hellhound got it done real quick. Transfer into the tunnel. Mohawk Warrior Fire getting it done. Hellhound not too bad, but an awkward entry. Nice save from Mohawk Warrior Fire, keeping it off the roof. We've seen a lot of trucks getting into trouble with that, with the rollers heading into the dip. Ooh, a hard hit for Hellhound. He's going to need to play catch-up big time, and he's going to need a slip from Mohawk Warrior Fire. And with the way Mohawk's racing, I don't know if that's going to happen for him. Into this final turn. Out wide for Mohawk Warrior Fire, but it's not enough for Hellhound, who's in trouble. Mohawk Warrior Fire heading into the final round. He has a shot at a second qualification into a main field lineup. Can he do it tonight? Hellhound out here in the semifinals. I mean, if you're going to go out, you better go out to a solid racer, and he did just that. I believe Mohawk Warrior was, what, third or fourth on the Sponsor Showdown Tour last season. So, solid truck. You can't fault him for that. Mohawk Warrior Fire onto the final round. Wrecking Crew coming out next on your left, taking on Splattershot to close out the semifinals. We're going racing, and up and over the step up we go. Wrecking Crew using that downside to guide those back tires onto the ground here. And he's looking good. Nice early lead on Splattershot right now. Can he hold it? Splattershot, a brand new truck, full 2024. How are they going to do in this slalom? Wrecking Crew, the first one over the double rollers. Just tags it on the way down, but so does Splattershot. Really not a bad race at all. It's really close. I mean, Splattershot, I would say, is in that sweet spot, and it looks like they're going to be coming back here at any point. Wrecking Crew needs to go hard if he wants to fight off Splattershot. How are the transfers going to go? Ooh, Wrecking Crew in trouble. Splattershot nice and clean through the tunnel. Splattershot comes back. Can Splattershot hold this lead? Looking for a nice clean landing in the gap. Gets it done. Wrecking Crew, bit of a hard hit there. He is behind through the elevated turn. I don't know if it's going to happen for him. Doesn't look like it. Splattershot in the lead, heading to the final turn with a nice gap behind him. Ooh, a big slide in that final turn, but it doesn't matter. Over the triple we go. Splattershot is on to the finals. He'll be taking on Mohawk Warrior Fire to close out our night tonight. Who is going to come out on top? The debuting truck or the good old faithful Mohawk Warrior Fire? Very interesting race. Very, very interesting. Can Mohawk Warrior get into Season 2? And we would have a returning truck looking for a Tour Championship. Splattershot, we could have a brand new truck. Not only a brand new truck to us, but a brand new truck in general. Could be entering into Season 2. We'll see if it happens here. Heading to the starting line to get staged. Splattershot on your left. Taking on Mohawk Warrior Fire on your right. Who can come out on top here in your final round? Both trucks staged. You're ready to go. We're going green for your final round of racing. Off of that starting line, it is neck and neck. Two different approaches to that step up there, and it is neck and neck over the Jackrabbit. Over the gap, getting it done. Mohawk Warrior, I would say cleaner, just because he got that full downside effect. Splattershot kind of overshot it a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. They still got a downside, still getting it done. And these two are still neck and neck as we head through the slalom. Yeah, look at this. Very slight difference between the two. It is Mohawk Warrior who's slightly behind at this point. Can Mohawk Warrior come back, or will Splattershot just widen that gap until the end here? Oh, Mohawk Warrior lightning over those cars. He is still behind, but he is gaining some ground here as we head into the tunnel. Splattershot looking for a solid transfer, gets it done. Holding that lead just slightly. Mohawk Warrior sloppy, but it's still like a dead tie right now. This is quite a race to close out the night. Mohawk Warrior, I don't know. I don't know who was cleaner. I don't know who is going to take it. It's Splattershot with a lead. Mohawk Warrior a little sloppy around that final turn, or that final chicane, excuse me. Splattershot the first one into the final turn. Mohawk Warrior is struggling. Splattershot's crooked on the landing, which puts him out wide. All over the place, but it is Mohawk Warrior fire as Splattershot goes for a ride. So close, but not enough. Just too squirrely on that landing, and in that final straight, Splattershot unable to get it done. Mohawk Warrior fire is returning for season 2. Be sure to head over to the ROR SRPS Instagram this weekend, Saturday, February 17th. Vote for what tour you want Mohawk Warrior fire on, the biggest and baddest tour or the All-Star Challenge Tour featuring Team Thunder versus Team Mayhem all season long. We got an incredible season ahead of us, and we are so close. We are so close to starting the season. After our qualifying window is over, I am going to take a very short break just to finalize some stuff and get everything ready for our second season, but we'll get into it as soon as possible. I promise you, March for sure. But one last look at Mohawk Warrior fire. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Be sure to check out Dubby and use that RORSRPS promo code to get 10% off. Head over to the Instagram, follow, subscribe here on YouTube, like, comment. Let me know your favorite part of tonight's racing, and I will see you guys tomorrow for our final episode of the week. I'll see you soon.